and welcome everyone from Boulder, Colorado through Switzerland to Japan. Welcome, very nice to have you all. My name is Emmy and I'm on the board of the Crypto Valley Association and also focus on security of critical digital assets for institutions at Ledger Vault. Allow me to share a few words about the Crypto Valley Association before we kick this off. And as most of you know, we are an exciting global community which is focusing on the evolution of blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies. We also have OG companies such as the representatives of the panel today as members, and we are reaching 800 members across the globe soon. We are powered by our working groups, which vary from education, investments, cybersecurity, regulation, startups, and beyond. And if you are not part of our dynamic community yet, then what are you waiting for? Join us. And today's event, today's agenda is broken down to two parts. We are going to have a fireside chat first. We are privileged to have Tom Albright, who's the CEO of Bittrex Global. Hi, Tom. And we also have Raoul Sood, who is the former CEO, a former member of Microsoft Ventures, and he's the CEO of Unicorn, and he's going to interview Tom in this discussion today. And in the second part, we will have the panel around the crypto exchanges on the rise. With that, over to you, Raoul. Please kick off the fireside chat.
Thank you. Thank you, Emmy.
Thanks, Emmy.
Hey. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. As Emmy said, I'm the co-founder of Unicorn, and I was also the creator of Microsoft Ventures, and I am a good customer and partner of Bittrex and Bittrex Global. So today I'm interviewing Tom. Tom, can you just tell us about yourself and basically the difference between Bittrex and Bittrex Global?
Yeah, absolutely. So also, again, thanks, Emmy, and we and the entire Crypto Valley Association. We're thrilled to be part of it, and we're thrilled to be here. So thanks for having us, and thanks to everyone for joining. So at Bittrex, we basically have, there are three entities, basically three operating parts around the overall ecosystem. We've got, Bittrex was founded in 2014 in Seattle in the US. It's one of the oldest cryptocurrency exchanges out there. And we've evolved to have the Bittrex US exchange, which is still headquartered in Seattle. We've got Bittrex Technology, which builds tools and technology for both the Bittrex US and Bittrex Global exchanges, as well as some other exchanges around the world. And then we've got Bittrex Global, which I'm fortunate to be the CEO of. And we're based in Vaduz, Liechtenstein, and right in Crypto Valley with everyone else. And we service all of the non-US customers around the world. We're fortunate enough to offer 250 tokens, fiat, and US dollars and euros, and a variety of other interesting things. So,
okay, cool.
Very exciting.
So thanks for that. Listen, I know that this pandemic, the COVID pandemic, has affected the way we all do business. This is why we're here on Zoom and not in person.
Yeah.
I really wanted to know how the pandemic affected the way people think about crypto, just generally speaking.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think that the pandemic is really showing people how useful and how valuable crypto can be. The world is changing before our eyes. We're seeing all kinds of changes from, the explosion of Zoom and everyone working remotely to where, everything is becoming more decentralized, from finance to physical work, all those sorts of things. And obviously that fits in very well with the theme of crypto. The other thing that I really watch and we're really seeing are the government responses. And from, the European Central Bank to the Federal Reserve in the US, the amount of money printing basically that's going on with fiat money is just, it's astounding. It's unprecedented. It's not anything, we've certainly seen in our careers, and probably for many people's lifetimes. People have been around much longer than me. So.
Yeah. Like I noticed one of the interesting things was just looking at data, speaking to some of the folks at Bittrex about, purchases that are happening in India, for example, when people were migrating from big cities to villages, they're buying insane amounts of crypto,
That's right. Yeah.
and things like that. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, I think it goes back to the decentralized response, and people are realizing that, the governments with the money printing, unfortunately, they're not looking out for the general population and for people. They're looking out for people that are already protected, the billionaires and people that, own the vast percentage of stocks and traditional securities. We see just one example in the US, there was over $2 trillion of money printed in the last couple months, and $500 billion of that ended up right in the hands of currently existing billionaires, whereas people can't get $1,200 checks from the government. So crypto is really an opportunity for people to protect themselves against that, and we see it all the way around the world, from like you said, India to Africa, and even into the US.
So you are seeing a more interest in Bitcoin, obviously, then through this pandemic.
Absolutely, yes, yeah.
Okay, well, it's interesting. I think again, you're right. The way businesses are changing is pretty incredible. Like even in Las Vegas, when they shut down all the casinos, they didn't have locks on the doors until now. And they had to actually put locks on the doors.
They were 24/7.
Yeah. So hey, so besides, like when I look at exchanges in general, as a platform that builds a token for esports and betting and that sort of thing, besides being an exchange, what does Bittrex do to help companies like ours or token teams like us, to innovate?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, I love the theme of this panel and where we're going with exchanges. We've traditionally been focused on allowing trading and things like that, but I think the next step in the evolution for crypto in general and for exchanges as a whole is providing those use cases for people. And that's really what we're working on right now, is allowing our customers to have access to all of the exciting new products that different people are building, and letting them use their crypto in all the different ways to both within and around the traditional financial system, and to really take advantage of all the features that crypto has.
Okay, well, look, it would be remiss if I would be remiss if I didn't bring this up, but I've heard some things about it. I haven't heard a lot about it, but I've been hearing a lot about Bittrex Global's new token that's coming, BXT. You guys really haven't said much about it yet, so can you just tell us more about BXT? I'll be honest, I do know about it, but I don't know, like everything about it. So I'd love to hear what you have to say, and then we'll go.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're obviously really, really excited to be rolling that out. It's something we've been looking at and working on for quite a while now, and it's been a customer request for a long time. It's going to be our native token. It's going to enable a lot of utility both on our platform and on partner platforms, as well. From lower trading fees to rewards and airdrops for holding the token, added referral bonuses. Holders will benefit from a token burn. And then we'll be adding a ton of new features around it, like staking, lending, voting on things on the platform, things like that. So we're really excited to roll that out this summer, and everyone should stay tuned to our social media.
That's awesome. So, when I think about tokens, typically the exchanges in the past would launch a token and then build an exchange around it. Whereas Bittrex was founded in like 2014, and you guys are finally building a token. What was the reason for waiting?
Yeah, that's a great question. What we're really focused on is like I mentioned, the use cases, and we think that the token, not only does it enable a lot of interesting things on the Bittrex global trading platform, but on some partner platforms as well. And I'll just go out and say it here. We're very excited and fortunate enough to be partnering with Unicorn to launch our first use case, which we're super excited about. We're calling it crypto gaming. It's going to be an exclusive product for Bittrex global customers where they can use their crypto to bet on sports, live sports, esports, casino games, all sorts of things like that. And BXT is going to enable a lot of special offers for those customers as well. So it's a token that will be able to proliferate and be used throughout the whole ecosystem and through multiple use cases, starting with crypto gaming.
Yeah. I've been talking to some of the big blockchain investors in the space, and they're saying this is probably one of the most anticipated tokens. It's certainly the most anticipated in 2020, but I'm pretty excited about it. So it's great to hear. Hey, so Tom, look, we have a limited amount of time. I just want to ask you one last question. What keeps you up at night?
Yeah, well, I've got two very small kids. So first off, they keep me up at night with the feedings and diaper changes and things like that. But, it comes back to, what we're seeing around the world, and the society is changing in front of our eyes. We're seeing, horrific government responses to people trying to change the world for the better. We're seeing the, protected class really cracking down on the unprotected. And, what I hope for and what I really wish is that, we can change the world for the better, and that this, everything that's going on right now doesn't give those in power an excuse to actually crack down and make things worse. That's the big fear. But I think with, the crypto community, with, the communities around the world that are standing up and fighting to do the right thing, to support the Black Lives Matter protests, to crack down against or stop police brutality and all those sorts of things, I'm really optimistic that we can all make this world a better place. So
awesome. Thanks, man. I appreciate taking the time. And thank you, Emmy.
No, thank you. And thanks to Emmy and the entire Crypto Valley Association. It's fantastic to be here.
Thank you so much, Tom. And thanks to Raul and putting my hands together for this nice introduction. And I love your choice of background. For those of you who don't know, that's a landmark in Liechtenstein. And Tom is already there, as in
That's right.
seems like that. Wonderful. We already have all the participants of the second part online, which is going to be the panel titled The Rise of the Crypto Exchanges. And we are pretty excited to have secured some of the longest standing crypto exchanges of our times and some of the leading exchanges among those. But to mix this up, we also have Dotun from the London Stock Exchange. And in the light of the current macroeconomic landscape, it's crucial to keep a close look to what is really happening to these exchanges, and also to talk about their innovation, their expansion plan, the competitive landscape. So with that, I invite you all to turn on your cameras and the mics, and please tell us your name, your function at the company you work for, and also what does your company focus on today in the digital asset space. Stephen, you want to kick this off?
Sure. So you've heard from my colleague, Tom, but I work at Bittrex Global, where the part of Bittrex's service is all of the non-US customers based in Vaduz.
Thank you. Lucian?
Thanks, Amy, for the introduction. So I joined Kraken almost a year ago. Personally, I've been in crypto since almost 7 years now. I cover accounts, high value accounts for Europe and Switzerland. And Kraken, as it's known, is one of the oldest fiat to crypto exchanges in the industry. We are active all across the globe, employees 60 plus countries, and we are a pioneer when it comes to execution, security, and also regulation. We are one of the first exchanges to actually pass a cryptographically verifiable proof of reserves audit. We are the first ones to display our price data on Stonberg. And finally, we are also pioneering products such as leveraged margin trading, regulated derivatives, and index services in the crypto industry.
Thank you so much. Dotun?
Hi everyone. My name is Dotun. I co-steer emerging technology and innovation strategy at the LSEG, which is obviously an exchange I'm sure most of you are familiar with. A lot of my focus is on both blockchain and crypto related initiatives across the group. We also do a lot of work in collaboration with fintechs and institutions across the space. We're really keying mostly into the kind of digital assets use cases of the technology. So we do have some projects related to crypto. So one example being an indicative index on the FTSE side of the business. But yeah, as I said, most of our focus is purely on the kind of digitization of security side of things.
Thanks so much. Maria, are you there?
I'm here. Hi. Thank you, Emmy. Hi, everyone. I'm Maria, and I'm country manager at Luno. Luno is a global cryptocurrency company. We're operating in over 40 countries worldwide across Southeast Asia, Africa, and Europe. We're a wallet and exchange and an API for businesses. We just make it easy and seamless to buy and sell cryptocurrencies and learn about crypto. So we're founded in 2013 and we recently reached 4 million customers worldwide.
Thanks so much. And last but not least, Quentin. Hello.
Hi, Amy. Hi, everybody. So my name is Quentin. So I'm a VP in the financial markets at OKEx. So we are one of the largest crypto exchange. We offer diversified services from spot trading, derivative trading, proof of work exposure, proof of stakes. There I focus on building the institutional business. So I lead the institutional business for Europe and US along with strategic partnership.
Merci. Fabulous. So 2020 has already kept some surprises, and we are not even at the end of H1, and so many incredible events has happened. One of those, when it comes to critical digital assets into the crypto market, is the event of March 12. And I would be very interested to learn, and if you could share, Quentin and Lucian, that how did that affect your company? And then as a second question, tying into the outstanding events, that how about the viruses in COVID? How did that affect your business? As in, did you experience any spike when it comes to new signups in members, or did the transaction number go up insanely? And also, which geographical regions have experienced this spike? Do you want to start, Quentin?
Yeah, sure. I want to focus on the March 12 event. I think it was fairly very interesting. So, everybody was saying that BTCs and cryptos are like completely uncorrelated to traditional risky assets. But what we experienced before that event was the BTC becomes increasingly correlated to the equity market. And as the VIX, the fear index spikes, we saw the implied volatility on BTC like kind of following that. So we had a risk of a major sell-off in the traditional market, and it followed basically what happened on the BTC. It just on the BTC, just the same happened, but it was amplified because of the derivatives, and especially one exchange, so Bittrex, for example, where we have this auto-deleveraging, which is a very unique specificity on the crypto derivatives. So market went down, people were automatically closed their position, and the exchange had to liquidate on the market, and it amplified the downward trend. The volume were absolutely incredible. For example, on OKEx, we had a volume on the BTC futures about 16 billion US dollar, which is more than twice our normal volume. It was the same across all the exchange, and it created really like it was a test for in terms of capacity, our ability to process all the volume, our ability to handle the client requests, to manage their cash account. So for us, actually, we handled that, I think, fairly well. And what we saw is that the open interest in the crypto derivatives went down by half on the March 13th. And since then, it has slowly picked up. And what we saw is that there were a rebalancing actually on the crypto derivative open interest to other exchanges. And I think OKEx overall has done pretty well, and we have been winning a lot of trading. And since actually recently on 1st of June, actually we hit the mark of 1 billion open interest on our futures and swap market. So that's all I think what I wanted to say on this event, but it's really about it triggers some question about the market infrastructure of the crypto derivatives.
Thanks so much, Lucian. You
yeah,
want to
we did see a record trading volume happening. 1.5 billion on the spot side. We're very proud of how our exchange performed over this difficult time, as it did not go down once, unlike competitors that Quentin has already mentioned. I would add Deribit here as well to the candidates. We saw high trading volume in Bitcoin, USD, and Bitcoin Euro trading pairs. Totally agree that the sell-off in traditional equities had a high impact on crypto assets, and as a consequence, was ballooned by derivatives markets in crypto by these competitors. We did see also a lot of forced liquidations on our competitors. We did see liquidators on DAI, where auctions were won with $0 bids. On a personal level, many in our company and also many private investors saw this big sell-off as a huge buying opportunity, and a lot of us kept buying Bitcoin at these lows. And yeah, so about COVID, maybe quickly, we did see a big dramatic increase in user following this Black Thursday. And we saw like a really big inflow in new account applications and verifications, and everybody wanted to buy at such a big discount. Finally, Glassnode had a report in May saying that the number of investors with at least 0.1 Bitcoin reached an all-time high, which I think is a really good sign for the overall ecosystem. Proves that the industry is getting more robust, and we see positive times ahead. Finally, on the geographic breakdowns, I cannot give you a typical breakdown or number.
So much positivism in your response, and also before Quentin, pretty nice to hear that OKEx did not have any major downtime back then. I would like to remind the audience that you can throw your questions into the Q&A, and at the end of the panel we will unmute you, and then you can ask. I will select 3 or 4 questions depending how much time we have. My experience when it comes to exchanges was with Shapeshift, which is a crypto to crypto exchange, and I remember how much we listened to our customers' request and customers' voice, and I feel like Luno does that a lot from day one, constantly responding to customer needs. And Luno has been founded in 2013, as you shared with us, Maria. And could you tell us more about your key markets? Also, what is a typical Luno user is like, and which are the demographics what you are you have a presence on. Would be very interesting to hear a bit more. Also, how is life at Luno? The floor is yours.
Sure. So, as I mentioned earlier, we are operating in over 40 countries worldwide, and we have a strong presence in emerging markets. That's where we first started in 2013. But so there is no real typical Luno user. We do speak to customers regularly, as you said, and the backgrounds and demographics and their reasons to enter the cryptocurrency industry are really different and really diverse as the adoption is growing. And I think now is also extremely important and apparent that people are looking at crypto from a very fresh perspective due to the unstable financial environment. And we hear financial analysts and traders openly voicing how Bitcoin seems more interesting as a hedge against currency debasement. We see more money printing than ever. So suddenly this all applies to across all markets. It's not just the emerging markets where we always had seen the utility in cryptocurrency investment in that sense. So I think that when we talk about typical customers, we always have to take into consideration the spectrum of greed versus need, and those who make an investment as an alternative to their portfolio, and those who actually are active cryptocurrency or general traders. And I think that's what we are seeing across the board, though, that trust and sort of very simplistic and smooth onboarding process and mobile application really help with that adoption. So really fast onboarding, local payment options have really, I think, bridged that for a lot of customers. And we see an uptake definitely as well among the customers who are willing to just buy, to make a recurrent purchase of Bitcoin, even if it's as little as 50 or 100 euros a month. Which is, I think, really, really encouraging as well, as seeing, the big traders taking the opportunities from the volatility, etc. And in terms of exchange customers, Europe becomes more interesting for us in that sense. It is quite a populated, crowded market, but we do try and find ways to tailor this experience for our customers, high volume customers, if it's their fees, if it's their account management, dedicated customer support, or if it's just beating the fees of other exchanges.
Exciting. Thanks so much. So it sounds like Luno is the perfect entry to crypto for retail players. And I do have a Luno account, full disclosure. So the next question is going to be dedicated to Dotun and also Stephen. And we would love to hear what's the current state of play around the London Stock Exchange when it comes to digital assets. And Stephen, if after Dotun responded, if you can share that, what is your main goal in Europe? Because you have been recently moving to Liechtenstein. You are making this the headquarters for Bittrex Global. We would love to hear that what are you looking for with this move?
Sure.
But before that, Dotun, if you could respond to my question.
Sure. So I'll probably break my answer into two parts. So one being, a view of digital assets in the context of digital securities or kind of your traditional financial instruments, and then separately on the kind of crypto side. So in the former case, as I said, capital formation is very much our bread and butter. And traditionally, we kind of see ourselves as a financial markets infrastructure provider. So, we have a range of businesses that essentially support that, and a lot of the focus we've had is looking at the future landscape of capital markets and how we see the end-to-end digitization of value. So we've been looking at post-trade settlement in the FCA sandbox specifically, because we kind of see that as being the biggest gap for enabling the kind of quote-unquote security tokens. And so we've done some exploration there, and we're kind of continuing along that thread. We have some other projects looking at kind of things from the kind of clearing side. Obviously, we own the London Clearing House, and so there's some aspects there that we've been doing a lot of analysis on around, the benefits of digitization around kind of collateralization and collateral management specifically. Looking at it on the crypto side, much of our focus has been pretty much on supporting the ecosystem where we have let's say capabilities that can add value. So we have a technology licensing business at LSEG IT, and much of the work we've done there is very much in providing the same high scale high speed matching engine technology that we leverage for our markets to participants across the space. So, a recent example of that would be the Atom Exchange over in Hong Kong, licensed our technology. And then on the other side, we also provide market surveillance technologies and tools to help businesses to essentially employ the same level of rigor that we do in terms of kind of combating or mitigating the risks of susceptibility of market manipulation to crypto markets in the same way that we do in the kind of regulated markets that we support and facilitate. So these are some of the areas that we've been exploring. Obviously, I mentioned earlier as well, on the data side of the business, we have launched an indicative crypto index specifically, and we're looking to kind of take that forward in very, very close consultation with regulators in the US and across Europe.
Thank you, Dotun.
Great. So I guess it's my turn. So I think just rephrasing, since I didn't do the advertisement for Bittrex at the beginning, like my colleagues, the exchange was founded in 2014. So we are one of the oldest exchanges, and we're highly regulated. I mean, the exchange started in Seattle in the United States. The founders, I think what differentiates us from some of our competitors, we're older in a good way. I think the management team is in their 40s and 50s. You've got people with real experience in real businesses. The founders all came from Microsoft and Amazon, so very much into security and highly regulated. So I think, as you know, the regulatory environment in the US is a bit uncertain, and it's difficult to actually run some of the businesses. It's, again, not that we don't like regulation, but when you have 50 different regulators and there's no coordination, it's difficult to get clarity. So what we decided to do, since a lot of our clients and listing teams are not in the United States, was to put our non-US business clearly outside of the US and really bifurcate the two. So the first step was to put the business in Malta. And what happened was, if you were a US passport holder or a US resident, you had to become a client of the Malta exchange. And that allowed us to do activities that were completely legal in the EU, but where there's not clarity in the US. The reason we moved to Liechtenstein, it was to continue to build on that type of regulated framework. I think that in Malta is very popular in the crypto world, but I come from the traditional financial services industry. I've worked at firms like Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, London, and New York. Malta is not a place where anyone's doing any financial services business. And in fact, we've had feedback from some of the banks in Zurich who want to trade with us. They can't take Malta country risk. So the very fact that you're in Malta means you've precluded yourself from numerous institutional clients. So we decided to upgrade to a sort of what I would call first world financial center. We looked at Switzerland, we looked at the UK, and I think the reason we chose Liechtenstein, we wanted to be in the EU. Liechtenstein's EEA, but for financial services like banking, investment management, that's all fully EU passporting. It's AAA rated country. So you basically have all the benefits of Switzerland, and you're in Crypto Valley, but then you also have the EEA membership. So we saw that as a real win-win. Plus they were about to pass a blockchain act, which just passed in January. So we moved our entire business to Liechtenstein. It's run out of Vaduz. We have an office, we're staffing up there. And basically we're supervised already by the FMA, which is a European bank regulator. We're in the process of filing for the registration under the Blockchain Act, which you just have to do by year end. So we know that the clients that really value that type of onboarding and KYC and AML, which is required by the FMA and EU standards, that's the type of business we want to run. So we give safety to our retail clients, and we give a really secure platform for our institutional clients. So that's at a high level what we're doing with Liechtenstein. Then in terms of just product offerings and things that Bittrex is doing, we've always had or been known for having a lot of altcoins, far more than competitors except for maybe Binance, but we have hundreds of altcoins. What we're doing is we're backfilling some of the capabilities which we hadn't done. So we now have credit card onboarding, 170 different countries. We now offer Euro trading, and so we have Euro pairs. We're about to launch derivatives. So as you know, derivatives are securities in Europe. We don't have a securities license. We're only going to sell them outside of Europe. We're setting up an entity in Bermuda, which is going to be BMA regulated for derivatives trading specifically. And as Tom mentioned already, we have a token coming, which I think we're probably the only of the what I would call regulated exchanges to have a token. So we have a lot of interesting growth and functionality that we're bringing to the market, not just a move to Liechtenstein.
Thank you for that beautiful round answer to both of you, Dotun and Stephen. And my next question is addressed to Lucian and Quentin, because you both work for the institutional arm of your respective exchanges. And I would be interested to know that what you're looking for in Europe and specifically in Switzerland, what type of clients and why should they work with you? Plus, if you could also share a bit about the typical user of OKEx and the typical user of Kraken. Which of you would like to start?
I can start this time. Yes, I would say it's really difficult to generalize on a typical Kraken user, as we cater to everyone from retail to professional traders and institutions. That said, I would say commonality of most of our, especially individual users, they are really tech savvy. They are self-described early adopters, so-called OGs. Our tools and trading engine are highly sophisticated and are working both for professional experienced traders as well as novices. Regarding the trading volume, our biggest pairs are, as expected, in the Bitcoin or Ethereum Euro, or also in the dollar trading pairs. Unsurprisingly, we maintain a couple of banking relationships around the globe. The newest one is with Hinkel Bank here in Switzerland, and we support 6 currencies: USD, Euro, British Pound, Swiss franc, Canadian dollar, Japanese yen. We have approximately 30 plus tokens listed, so customers have a wider choice. Recently, we also launched FX trading and added 9 trading pairs that make it easier for clients to execute and diverse orders even faster. When it comes now to our mission and vision for Europe and also for Switzerland, this needs to be, of course, split in 2. One is Europe, and then it's also Switzerland, as Swiss like to be special. Switzerland, of course, we share a lot of commonalities when it comes to the kindred spirit. We believe similarly to discretion and in privacy, but also regulatory compliance. We support everything that FINMA and the government, including the canton of Zug, are doing to promote a healthy ecosystem, and we want to play a role in there. Crypto is designed to thrive in these environments. Some companies are still in their embryonic state, and there is surveys that I read in April by the Swiss Blockchain Federation that approximately 160 firms are at risk. And our company has actually been born out of a similar situation, and we want to share our experience in this regards to help develop the ecosystem, reach the next stage of maturity. Now speaking quickly about Europe, we are considered the largest exchange in Europe, especially with our Euro trading pairs. We started with early support for Euro trading, and we've built on that by adding new assets, improving our engine, adding new products. The recent one was our 9-figure acquisition of the FSA regulated company called Crypto Facilities, which gave us a regulated derivatives platform and an industry-leading index service.
Thank you. So on our side, I mean, the typical client that I'm talking to is trading firms. And we do have like 2 types of trading firms. We have either the crypto native. So on the younger side, they are data scientists and they started to trade crypto and they found some interesting pattern, and now they are really trading actively HFTs on crypto derivatives. And the second category is a more like experienced trader who were at large banks before or bigger hedge funds. And now they have spin-off or they have a dedicated desk for crypto. and they typically trade, many of them do some form of market making strategy, start arb, and they trade large size, usually with some latency needs in terms of like speed. So that's a typical clients that my team is dealing with. We do see like some very talented trading teams in Switzerland, actually. And we see more of them around the Zurich or Zug area. So we can see that they either they have been like big firms and already switching to crypto, or like they are really new guys just setting up, but very, very active and dynamic market in Switzerland. What's the end goal as well for Switzerland? I think it's Switzerland is very strong in structured products, and it's really like their bread and butter. And you have like a very strong wealth management industry that is now like switching to incorporate cryptos. We do have an option market. We launched Ethereum options like 1 week ago, and we're going to launch EOS options. And we're having lots of very interesting discussion in Switzerland as well. So how we can supply liquidity for the structured product business. So it's a very strong angle for us that we want to push in Switzerland.
Perfect. Thanks so much for these insights to both of you. So before we move on, now I would just love that each of you just says 1 or 2 words. It's up to you. Basically, the question is that if you have to name just one big challenge, what you encountered on in the always evolving crypto world, then what would that be? You can name max 2, but I prefer if you just named 1. And can we do this exercise just really like 1 or 2 words? Maria, you want to start?
1 or 2 words. Well, definitely for our company, the biggest, really crucial challenge was Malaysia. It used to be one of our biggest markets in 2017, and then suddenly the whole industry just came to a halt. Everything stopped. So now we're licensed, and the Securities Commission is really positive about the industry and etc. But having said that, all of the effort that the companies go through doesn't really necessarily translate into banks wanting to welcome companies like ours with open arms and so on. So the challenge of now is education and driving that awareness and making sure that people who are in institutions that are still quite scared and of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, sort of jump on board.
Thank you. Could Stephen go next? Biggest challenge.
Yeah, I think it's not specific to us. I'd say it's for the industry. It's you've got the old guard who can't do crypto, says that we're terrible. So for instance, Goldman just came out, and I publicly I used to work for them, and I publicly refuted it. So their comment that Bitcoin's terrible, they dug up their old report from two years ago. It's not even a new one. But what they don't do is they don't disclose that they can't make money out of crypto off of their clients. So that's the real agenda. And I think that we have as an industry to face that the entrenched sort of cartel who doesn't want us to do well because we're a complete threat to their very existence, and they will spread misinformation and fear, which is not helpful to anyone. So I think that type of thing, which again, we're very vocal, where we will correct them when they don't show their true sort of agenda, or they don't clarify that they can't charge fees on crypto.
Thank you. Dotun?
Yeah, I think being part of the old guard, naturally, I think our biggest challenge is very much one of regulation and, let's say, compliance. Being a heavily regulated industry, we have to operate with kid gloves when dealing with a lot of the stuff. Most of the crypto market is unregulated, so it's very challenging. I mean, we are definitely seeing on the institutional side a wave of interest and growing interest in some of these new assets, and I think that will continue to progress, and institutional adoption will continue to increase. But for many businesses like ours and some of the larger banks and other participants across the space, we have to tread very, very slowly and very carefully and make sure that we keep the regulators on side and comfortable with how we progress. And that touches everything from infosec to custody to settlement to clearing to every single area. So.
Thank you for naming the elephant in the room. I would have certainly said regulation. Quentin?
I fully agree with everything that was said. So I would add the two words would be safe haven, because we did see that the crypto asset class was considered by many as a risky asset, same as the traditional assets. So I think for the story that we have to look for now is that the market overall will start to treat this asset differently. Will it become like fully uncorrelated, and will people will agree that the economics of those assets do protect from the impact that we can see on the fiat currencies by the monetary policies that we are being implemented by all the different central banks. And many people are kind of putting some very high expectation. We had Paul Tudor, like we're thinking that it might well be the case. But I mean, yeah, the story is we'll see if it happens to be true. But I do think it's the major theme that we need to look at on top of everything that was said.
Thanks, Quentin. So to mix things a bit up, I'm going to take a question now from the audience, and I invite my colleagues to unmute NC, who has an interesting question, which I also wanted to ask you guys. So can you hear me? NC, please unmute yourself.
Yes, I am here. Hi, Emmy.
Oh, hi, Nikki. I didn't know that's you, actually.
Such an exciting panel. So the question that I wanted to ask is, how do you see this increasing competition shaping the crypto exchange space? I mean, obviously there are now really major crypto exchanges offering amazing services. So do you foresee any decrease in the trading fees, or do you think that exchanges will innovate with more services? How do you think they are reacting to this competition, and how are they trying to take more market share?
Who should answer your question?
That's a good one. How about, I would love to hear from Lucian and maybe Maria, because she represents a little bit of different demographic and segment.
Lucian, you want to go first?
I would like to go second on this one.
Oh, okay. Maria, you feel like sharing a few points here?
Yes, sure. So in terms of how we go about, becoming, entering countries or regions where the competition is really high, we do think that the mobile experience, the simplicity of UX and UI, and really a localized experience is really important. So I personally was covering our Italian and French markets, and we put a lot of effort into making sure that we just don't roll out the platform everywhere as it was in South Africa when we first put it together, and that includes all the features across the board. We wanted to make sure that we speak the language of our customer in the particular a region, that we offer local payment options, that we have relevant content, that we have that we appeal to the demographic that is particularly interested in cryptocurrency in a given country. So I think that this bespoke sort of localized experience is key. In terms of fees, I mentioned earlier that when we do want to go after big traders and we want to make sure that we're more competitive, we do offer services like more dedicated account management services, lower fees as well, just to make sure that we beat the competition in the market. So I see this happening as well on the sort of trading fee side, but it's all about innovation and listening to your customers, and that's how we inform our product roadmap. So we continuously ask and to make sure that we're actually working on the implementations and features that are actually in demand and that will be the game changers and that are missing in our competitors. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you so much. Nikki, does that answer? Give us a, yeah? And Nikki, where are you sheltering
I am in Italy, and I'm very lucky to be in Italy because it's nice and sunny and our quarantine is over. So life is returning to normal and we can go to the beach.
Wow, very envious. Thank you. Lucian, would you like to answer the competitive landscape?
Sure. This is a nice handover since I'm originally also Italian, but I haven't been home in more than half a year. Yeah, so I mean, being around for such a long time, we've seen many competitors come and go. We always keep an eye out for our competitors. At the same time, we believe that we have a unique position given our strong brand, which is built on the pillars of our great service around customer centricity, security, and also on our robust infrastructure that we built. Also, we believe that the total addressable market is so large that there is room for everyone. The market cap is huge, and there is no shortage of competitors, of course. We classify them, of course, as well into regulated, unregulated exchanges, brokerages, and other service providers. But we believe, all in all, the market is so big, and it's just the beginning, that there is really room for everybody.
That's such a nice and calming response, and I really believe that you're correct here. The next question I would like to ask from Steven, and would be nice if you could share about your custody solution, because as being an OG exchange and being the custodian of the keys, you must have resilient and robust solution in place, what comes with a nice governance and a management and an ease to scale. So if you could share a few thoughts on this.
Sure, I can talk high level. I'm not going to go into gory, boring detail, but again, repeating what I said before, the founders of our company, and our company is privately held. There's no outside money. There's just 3 co-founders. They all used to run security for Microsoft and for Amazon, and that's what Bittrex's security is built upon. So that's the same team. We've never been hacked. We have, we're a bit, let's say, not as good as at marketing than some of our peers. We're getting better at it. So we have all the interesting things to talk about, but we just haven't. But we are probably the world's 3rd largest custodian of Bitcoin as it is. We have massive amounts, and everything's stored in our, cold wallet. And in terms of cold wallet solutions, we have insurance. We have the most insurance of anybody in the world. Lloyd's has given us $300 million of hot and cold wallet insurance. So that's something, again, some of our peers are very vocal and have less than we do. We have the most. So I think that speaks for itself. I don't need to say anything else on this topic.
I would have had a follow-up question, that when you're saying that most of your assets are cold storage, so if you...
Cold storage, they're not stored in hot wallets.
Okay, got you. Great. Then I think what we should not miss talking about is education, because so many CTOs or CEOs, such as Kraken's C-level, always says, and read it on crypto Twitter. You can read it actually all the time from other main players in the field, that education is what they spend a significant amount of their time. And I would invite Maria to tell us what you are doing with Luno in the field of education. How are you educating your clients, your community, the new entries? And Lucian, if you could also share a few thoughts after Maria.
So we really do give a lot of focus to education, and we approach it in 2 ways. So one is face-to-face, and then the other online. So face-to-face, it means a lot of events with country teams, where we do a lot of community building with roadshows in educational institutions. We do community events, meetups, and obviously with lockdown, this has all moved online, but we still do hold an active dialogue with our community. And then second area has always been online, and we invest quite heavily in producing content in different ways and forms, whether it's our blog or Medium, Steemit, or other publications. And and videos to even most recently a documentary that we published about Bitcoin in Africa, available on Amazon Prime. So we're also experimenting with different distribution channels. Most recently with Spotify, we create news videos. We really push our YouTube channel. We interview also industry stakeholders. We do podcasts. So a lot is, from trading tips to really, Bitcoin 101, sort of for beginners to staying up to date with crypto. We really want to cover the most common questions that the community may have.
Thank you so much. I love that you have such a big presence in Africa. Someone just asked in the questions that how about developing countries, Africa and Latin America, and I do know for a fact that you are present in Nigeria, in I think Zimbabwe, South Africa.
In South Africa, Uganda, Nigeria, and Zambia.
Thank you so much. Lucian, how about Kraken's education? The Crypto 101 is one of my favorite go-tos on YouTube.
Thank you very much. And if you would have asked a question before about the complications in mind, for us, education is the solution to all sorts of awareness issues. Education is a really important topic to us. On the forefront, my colleagues in account management do a fantastic job in helping our clients and also educating our clients sometimes. So big thumbs up to my colleagues if they're watching. Then, of course, our funny and friendly YouTube podcasts, which are being done by our C-level OGs, Jesse, Christina, and Nick, also do a fantastic job in educating people on crypto. If you didn't subscribe yet, do it. It's really fun. Then we have our Kraken intelligence team, which posts regular blog posts on crypto topics, and the flagship monthly volatility report, where there's a lot of in-depth details on the status of the crypto markets. Also, we have our security labs, which do a fantastic job in discovering and highlighting and showing system vulnerabilities that they discover in the industry. Make sure to check out canisecure.com as well. It's really easy to check and to improve on your personal security there. And finally, we have quite a big, vast number of support articles in general on our website, where people can educate themselves on all deep crypto topics.
Fabulous. Thanks for that round answer. And with that, we arrive to the last question, what I am asking, and then we go over to the audience and they will have the chance to unmute themselves. So already in 2020, so many M&As did happen, and this question is addressed to everyone. Do you see that your company is going to grow through M&As in the next 12 to 24 months, or you see rather that it's going to be an organic growth through maybe extending your offering or maybe entering new markets? And I would invite Maria to answer first to this question.
Thank you, Emmy. So I think that it's really interesting. It's an interesting time right now. We're experiencing so many shifts in the industry and the world. One being obviously that we're in the midst of uncertainty with the COVID pandemic, with governments printing more money, with people are doubting, the financial infrastructure. So as well as the fact that we're also 10 plus years now after the birth of Bitcoin, and there's been a lot of progress that happened in our industry around applications and use cases. So we did see a lot of growth in the last couple of months, but at the same time, we also have to acknowledge that our industry perhaps maybe even more uncertain than others. So we've practiced this a lot, and I'm really proud that we proved to be agile and to adapt. And I think those are really the big sort of focus areas and qualities that are important to the team as we're going to be moving forward. In terms of M&A versus organic, I believe that it always depends on what you can really build within your company and what you can't. And I think there's a lot of things that we can really do ourselves, and I think that's how we're going to be moving forward, mostly developing in an organic way. But at the same time, you know, when the opportunity presents itself, I'm sure that, you know, if it makes sense, and there's structure to it, I think that, you know, we would be able to also consider you know, different avenues. However, you know, we're still working as usual. We made sure that we adapted to the current reality, so that we don't have to let anyone go, and we can still keep hiring you know, teams and people as necessary as grow. And we're opening new markets in Africa. You know, so there was a lot of exciting news. We're keeping ourselves busy, but we'll see what the future holds.
Thank you, Maria. Exciting news. Dotun, can we go on with you, please?
Sure, and maybe this is somewhat tangential to the kind of focus of the panel, right? But no, I mean, you know, as a group, we're kind of knee deep in an M&A at the moment, obviously with the purchase of Refinitiv. So that's kind of ongoing at the moment. I believe we're still kind of trying to work through regulatory approval as that progresses. You know, outside of that, obviously we do make from time to time minority investments in businesses that kind of align with our broader strategy or specific strategies of some of our divisional businesses. So, you know, we did invest in a blockchain focused fintech called Novora last year, I believe. And, you know, we've continued that relationship in terms of moving forward with them. And, you know, we're still always open to kind of, you know, explore the space and see what's out there, you know, see, you know, what could add value to us as a group, and how we can kind of, you know, explore opportunities together. So, yeah.
Thank you so much. Stephen, would you like to go next?
Sure, and I apologize, my Wi-Fi cut out for a minute. The question is, are we doing M&A or how are we growing?
Yeah, so are you considering M&A, or are you going to mostly grow through your credit card offering, or with Bittrex? How do you see growth? And also please state if you're hiring in Switzerland. This is a perfect audience to
Sure.
make people aware that you're growing in Europe.
So the company is based in Vaduz. From a regulatory standpoint, that's our global headquarters, but our clients are global. I mean, truly global. We have a ton of mainland Chinese listing teams coming onto the exchange. We have mainland Chinese clients, Asian clients, European, Canadian, South American, everywhere except for the US. So that's step one. In terms of, you know, ramping up our product offerings, I mentioned some of it before. We, in addition to our Vaduz office, we are opening an office in Zurich as well. We're not looking to be regulated in Switzerland because from a Swiss standpoint, the nice thing about Liechtenstein is EEA, but also the Swiss are happy with it as well. So we can do business already. But in terms of hiring, not everyone who's in their 20s wants to live in Vaduz, we found. So we want to have Zurich as a consulting office to the exchange and be able to, you know, hire. So we are very much looking for people in compliance, IT, marketing, all sorts of roles. People feel free to reach out. And then in terms of our functionality, you know, we continue to add banking relationships, credit cards, more currency pairs. I mentioned we're going to be offering derivatives and futures out of Bermuda, outside of the EU. But what I didn't mention, we also are teaming up with a bank in the EU, which we'll announce shortly. We're going to be able to offer securities tokens inside the EU. So both derivatives and securities as well. So we have a lot of new functionality coming down the road in addition to the token. So we just hope that will continue to add volumes and grow.
Wow, very nice that such an OG exchange is moving partially to Switzerland. That is great news. Looking forward to having you in our extended community, and or in our close community here in the Crypto Valley. Lucian, would you like to answer the question next?
Of course. Yeah, we at Kraken, we are always restlessly looking on how to grow our Kraken community in all means, both organically and also inorganically. While we don't announce new products ahead of time, we always are looking on what our competitors are doing. And we are speaking always closely with our dear clients on what they expect us to offer and where to improve. And then given that, we improve our products and services either organically or inorganically. Worth noting that we recently launched FX trading as an example of an organic growth. And we are always looking into interesting ways to grow our community. Europe, Switzerland, globally, everywhere. If you're a crypto OG, we are always hiring. Have a look on our website, and hopefully we'll speak soon.
But you're not hiring only OGs, right? Okay.
Say, aficionados.
So then, Quentin, would you be please so kind to answer the question as well?
Yeah, sure. So we are growing organically. So we are adding new products. So I mentioned our options, for example, that is next to be released, the EOS options. But we are also really increasing our the way we partner with the larger ecosystem, and we do it two ways. So we do commercial partnerships with all the different players in the ecosystem. We have some themes that we prefer, but we're really happy to talk to everybody. And the second aspect is we do investor activity as well. So our investments are not public, but we are, as we speak, busy considering several investments. So it's the same if your company is fundraising and they think that there's also like a strategic alignment with OKEx, with what we do. Yeah, do talk to us. I mean, we are very happy as well to enter into discussions. And also we are always looking for talented people in Europe, back in our headquarters in Asia. So same, do contact us and we'll be happy to discuss.
Thank you so much. And this was my last question. Thanks everyone. Dear audience, basically DMs are open of our wonderful panelists. And I invite now Tom and also Raul, if he's there, to turn on your video, because now we arrive to the Q&A. And the first question I'm going to take is from Nathan Pearson. And please, Nathan, if you're there, unmute yourself and address your question.
Thanks, Emmy. Hey guys, Nathan Pearson Smith here. Dotun, Quentin, good to see you guys. Hope you guys are well. Question for the panelists representing exchanges. Curious to find out, in your opinion, are there 2 or 3 products or services that, even if you guys don't currently deliver them, are there 2 or 3 products or services that you guys see as the biggest driver for new user acquisitions? And that question's for Quentin, Stephen, I'm a friend of Quan Park and the Bittrex team as well. So my question is, are there 2 or 3 products, whether you guys currently deliver them or not, that you guys see as the major drivers for new user acquisition?
Right, I'll take that first. So I think that some of the larger volume products now, it's just some of the basic stuff like having multiple currency pairs. So we just launched euros. We want to do sterling and Swiss francs in Bitcoin Ether. So I think those are just the higher volume products. I think you need to have futures. So again, we're looking for regulated solutions that will work for our clients. That's in the works. We're hoping to launch this summer in Q1. And then I think other than the tokens, securities tokens, which we haven't really talked a lot about, that's a huge focus for us. And again, being a very regulated exchange and having an EU presence, we hope to have an EU passportable securities token offering in the fall.
I'll jump in and help Stephen out here as well. The other thing that I think we're really excited about, and I think that new users are going to love, is the crypto gaming partnership and the crypto gaming product. Building out those use cases and allowing people to actually use their crypto on the platform where they can buy, store, trade, and use is going to be pretty incredible for people. So we're very excited to offer that.
Yeah, also on my side, I mean, again, I really focus on the sophisticated trading firm. So I'm not going to cover this question from the retail side, but we are very excited is that we are working on really launching a pretty cool portfolio margining. So what is that? Is that it's pretty much when you have different products on derivatives on different size or different category types, such as perpetual swaps, options, and futures. We optimize your margin pretty much. So we look at the correlation between all the different trades, and we can optimize that. And that's really cool for like market makers and for like the hedge fund and the people who are doing, for example, arbitrage. They can really, it's going to be able basically to optimize as well the amount of collateral that they are posting on the exchange. which is currently expensive, and that's really limit the trading for many sophisticated participants. So it's more like infrastructure development and basic but boring stuff, but it's really to improve as well the robustness on the infrastructure, because we saw again in March 12, that's critical. You can launch many new products, but if your infrastructure is not able to cope with a incident like that, then it kind of defeats the purpose. So focus on the basics, getting it right, and focus as well on product innovation.
Nathan, are you there? Did that answer your question? And also, I forgot to ask, where are you sheltering? I think.
Yeah, that answers my my question, definitely. I'm actually sheltering here in the UK, so we are shortly out of our quarantine, hopefully. But due to British weather, staying inside actually looks like the best option. Dotun, you could probably confirm that as well.
Yeah, the weather is really British-like today in Zurich as well. The next question will be from Ryan. Ryan, are you there? Please unmute yourself.
There we go. Hi there.
Hey Ryan, where are you calling in from?
I'm actually calling from Ottawa, Canada.
Oh wow. Good morning.
Thanks a lot. Great event you got here. So, I posted this on the channel, but there's been a kind of a firestorm in the media lately about Coinbase and potential selling of data to IRS, DEA, other organizations, and just wondered if you guys had any commentary about that or insights into that.
Who wants to take that question? Seems like
personal.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, in the traditional financial services system, it has been a good source of income to sell data. So that's been in the tech industry. However, now speaking about crypto, of course, also maybe coincidence, but Switzerland is known for privacy and for keeping data private. So is Kraken. So I think that at the end of the day, the user should own the data, in my personal opinion.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I mean, I personally don't disagree with that at all. I think that obviously regulation is important and following all the appropriate KYC and AML protocols and all those sorts of things. But you know, overreaching and going beyond that and actively profiting from user data, particularly in a way that seems designed to harm them, I think is a huge problem for users, for the community, and for increasing adoption of crypto around the world.
Thank you so much for that response, Tom. And with that, I would like to ask Ekaterina. Sorry, Ryan. Hope that was a good answer, as in that answer responded to your question. Ekaterina, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hi everyone. I'm happy to ask my compliance question. You know, here in Switzerland, we work with institutional clients where we onboard some of you, and it's really sometimes very difficult because the exchange based in different jurisdictions, the questionnaire can be 20 pages and more. And one of the topics which really bother me, how do you address the FATF recommendation on client verification? You know that we are more strict in Switzerland, how you can operate as a vertical as a service provider. And do you really test or consider any travel rules protocol? Will be good to get your opinion on it.
Who's so brave to take this question? This is open.
I can take that one as well. I think it's definitely a tough question and a hard one. And I think the travel rule is one of the the hardest items that the industry is dealing with in terms of regulation and KYC, AML protocols. With that said, we, Bittrex as a whole, are part of a number of working groups that are working on solutions to allow institutional participants and other exchanges to comply with the travel rule as we're required to do. So we're working on ways to do that in a way that both follows the regulation and is as least disruptive to our customers as we can be. But it's certainly one of the most pressing challenges in integrating the cryptocurrency ecosystem with the traditional financial ecosystem.
Thank you so much, Tom. Someone else feels eagerness to add here something? If not, then thank you so much, Tom, again. I would like to invite Carl to ask the last question.
Hi, everyone, and thank you very much for the great discussion. My question goes around the split between retail and institutional activity. So how do you see the split right now in trading activity, and what is your expectation going forward, also considering the emergence of digital assets beyond cryptocurrencies? So I think this question basically goes to everyone, but I would also specifically prompt Dotun, because you mentioned also the interest in the broader digital asset and security space.
Sure, I can definitely jump in. I mean, so specifically on the retail side, obviously that's not directly, at least, a domain that we tend to serve. But at least on the institutional side, as I mentioned earlier, I think there has been a growing interest and demand for access to the crypto sphere, and I think we'll continue to see that trend grow. I think specifically on the security token side, so looking at kind of the digitization of your kind of more traditional financial instruments. Again, there's a lot of interest and a lot of investment there. Naturally, we're invested in this space. As I mentioned previously, we made an investment with Novora, and so there's a partnership there to deliver a solution specifically for the digitization of debt instruments in the relatively short near term. And then, even if you just look more broadly across the space, you've got Deutsche Börse leading projects on their side, the Australian ASX project. You've got nicely backed projects. You've also got SIX with some fairly large scale initiatives there. So again, there's very broad interest in kind of seeing this kind of tokenization, digitization as being the future for capital markets generally. And I would imagine, with that, the kind of laying the foundational infrastructure for that basically brings down the barrier to entry to explore other asset classes that aren't your more kind of traditional bankable assets. So we may start to see the introduction of digitized mortgages or digitized infrastructure and real estate, and other kind of more exotic classes of assets. So it'll be really interesting to see how that whole kind of landscape evolves and innovates as it grows and as it moves forward.
Thank you so much, Dotun. Lucian or Quentin?
And add to dots. We have a healthy balance between both early adopters, professional individual traders, and also institutional clients. Of course, down the road, this evolves with product as well. My experience with introduction of new products such as derivatives, the market size will grow tremendously, and will also, together with the increase in prices of cryptocurrencies, bring in more institutional interest into the whole ecosystem. Now that said, securitization and other products will make that path, accelerate that path, and we'll see more and more institutional players entering the industry, I would say.
Yeah, so just to add on the split, for us it's about, we have 2/3, a bit more than 2/3, I think, coming from institutional clients. And in crypto, I mean, institutional client doesn't mean like the same as the traditional finance, because it includes like a 2-man in the garage. It means more like they onboard with us on the corporate entity. So it's a broader definition, but there are sophisticated traders. It's about 2/3 in terms of volume. But you also have to consider, and I'm just adding a little bit on the open interest, because I used to work for a traditional exchange, so the Stock Exchange of Singapore on derivatives, product development. So what you want to grow the open interest. It's very important to have a healthy derivative market. And for that, you also need what we call real money. So that's why because they are holding for a bit longer time period, the futures or the swap positions. So I'm really looking forward this year to see like more hedge fund participation. We will do like more like long-term type of trading instead of just HFT, because it creates as well the healthier market. And of course, the retail market is super important. And as Lucian mentioned, you just have to maintain a very healthy balance between the two.
Thanks, Quentin. Very good point. Maintaining a healthy balance. With that, we did ask, or this was the last question we responded, and as I go through the chat, there is one question which actually I'm really curious of, and Maria, I would love if you could answer that. Basically, Luno has a presence globally, and you answer that in Africa you're constantly growing, but how about Latin America? Do you have any market share there?
No, at the moment we haven't been expanding to Latin America at all. Our big focus is to sort of penetrate the African continent and expand further through Southeast Asia as well. I think we have a lot on our plate in that sense as well. You know, in Africa, expanding into Europe it's not easy, but there's a lot of commonalities around regulation or just rolling out the product. In terms of Africa, you know, setting up and the relationships with banks, institutions, etc. There's a lot of work involved. So we're focusing there at the moment. I know that there within our investors digital currency group's portfolio, there is a company that is specialized specifically in Latin America, and with a similar mission to sort of bank the unbanked. We're addressing really the demand of emerging markets in that region.
Thank you so much, and expansion and basically not playing alone in this field is so important. So I'm hoping that a lot of partnerships are going to take place, and the evolution of our exciting and always evolving crypto space is going to accelerate farther and farther. And with that, I would love to put my hands together in the name of the audience to our wonderful panelists. And thank you all for taking the time and answering these questions. I wish you all a good rest of the week, and we are going to close this virtual series now. And stay tuned for further events, such as an event on cybersecurity and also on enterprise blockchain coming up the next weeks. Thank you so much, and bye from Zurich.